Hi, welcome to the Second Rainbow Coalition Reading Group. Today we are beginning Johnny Torres's book, Voices of the Revolution, and we're going to kick things off with the Statement of Unity for the Second Rainbow Coalition. General Secretary Kat, you have the mic.
Oh, would you like me to read it?
Oh, could you?
Yeah, sure.
Please,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah. The U.S. was founded as a colonial settler state based upon white supremacy and slavery, stealing the lands of the indigenous nations, breaking every treaty made with them, and confining them to reservations, concentration camps. As the country became more powerful, the eagle sunk its claws into other nations, making war on Mexico and grabbing its northern territory, evading Cuba, Puerto Rico, Hawaii, and the Philippines, and either annexing them outright or making them colonies or neo-colonies. And in the 20th century, it became the major imperialist power in the world, exploiting both the people within its boundaries and those in every other country, bullying them with military interventions and robbing them of their right to self-determination. As Huey P. Newton stated, we have two enemies to fight, racism and capitalism. Between the two, capitalism is primary. Racism is a byproduct of capitalism. The working people of the world of every ethnicity or nationality face a common enemy that is destroying life on Earth. Our enemy is a small ruling class of property owners controlling most of the world's wealth and resources. We must have our basic needs met to live a good and meaningful life: food, shelter, healthcare, education, freedom from oppression by the state, and peace with other nations. To obtain these essential things for life, we must have the power to see to it that the abundance that is available is shared equitably. Statement of Unity for the Second Rainbow Coalition. The legacy of the First Rainbow Coalition dates back to its founding on April 4th, 1969 by the original Black Panther Party, Original Young Lords, and Young Patriots Organization. A number of other organizations joined this coalition not too long afterwards, such as the American Indian Movement, Brown Berets, Rising Up Angry, the Red Guards, and others. Since the founding of the United States, the masses have developed a number of popular movements that came together to fight back against this capitalist imperialist system in various ways, around particular demands. Nevertheless, none had established a movement quite like the First Rainbow Coalition. This historic movement was the first of its kind that established a model of class struggle like no other. Its charismatic leader, Chairman Fred Hampton of the Illinois chapter of the original Black Panther Party, stated that at the end of the day, we weren't engaged in a race struggle. He said that it's a class struggle, god damn it. By uniting with the various oppressed ethnicities and masses, they were able to bridge the gap between the various ethnic communities that white supremacy had long sought to keep divided. This class solidarity equipped them with the material basis and class consciousness to see their common class condition, therefore, the necessity to form a united front against their common class oppressor, the capitalist imperialist ruling class. The ruling class was viewed the ruling class viewed this as the greatest threat to their class rule, and subsequently used the entire repressive forces of the state: police, courts, jails, prison, and intelligence agencies, etc., in order to crush this emerging revolutionary socialist movement. We refounded the Rainbow Coalition on May 14th, 2021, with the intent of upholding the legacy of the original Rainbow Coalition. We believe that this historic example is the model for the united front that will best serve our class liberation. By upholding the 10-point program of the original Black Panther Party, which was subsequently adopted and later expanded by the original Young Lords, Young Patriots Organization, and all other original Rainbow Coalition members, we established our programmatic unity. The 6 disciplinary rules that we uphold ties all organizations in our coalition to a common professional discipline. History has bestowed upon our generation a common class mission to fulfill. The representatives of the capitalist imperialist ruling class represented by the Democratic Party and Republican Party cannot liberate us. It is their class intention and interest to uphold our common class oppression. Therefore, it is only we, the oppressed masses of all ethnicities and nationalities, who must build the necessary class solidarity, class consciousness, organizational structures, and a united front that will ultimately liberate ourselves. This is what this this is what this second Rainbow Coalition is committed to. This is the historic mission we intend to fulfill. Dare to struggle, dare to win. All members of the coalition, New African and Black Panther Party, White Panther Party, Green Party of New Jersey, Poor People's Army, La Mesa Nacional de Brown Berets, NASO, which is North Alabama School Organizers, New Era Young Lords, American Indian Movement, Northeast Woodland Chapter. The 6 disciplinary rules. Members will conduct themselves in a manner to bring credit to the coalition and will treat others with respect and politeness. 2. Members will be sober when on Rainbow Coalition business and will not engage in any criminal activity while a member. No member will engage in violence except in the extremity of self-defense. 4. Members will not gossip nor be divisive to the unity of the Second Rainbow Coalition. 5. Members will not act as informers nor work against the purpose of the Second Rainbow Coalition. 6. Nobody is authorized to speak for the Rainbow Coalition unless authorized to do so.
Thank you, Kat. Give me just a moment here and I'll screen share the book. And Johnny, since this is your book, would you like to go first reading today?
Yes, of course, sister. I don't mind at all.
Awesome. Can everybody see that okay?
Yes.
Oh. Okay. In remembrance of Captain V. Ramirez. Captain V is a legend and a historical record of Brown Beret activism. She was present from the beginning and will be remembered for her dedication and service for La Causa. In reading her work, one will experience her sorrows and successes, understanding what it took to be present and accounted for in the memento, which she represented with great honor and valor. We honored to have been granted the privilege of publishing Captain V's own words, being humble and not seeking attention to herself, but to the cause alone. She struggled with the idea of revealing her story and was initially hesitant until she came to realize the import and magnitude of recording that personal history. V lived and died with the cause in her heart and being. She prepared for the inevitable and planned her own funeral arrangements to the minute and was honorably celebrated thanks to her brother, Andrew Conway. She would have been proud. Our only wish is that she was present to see her work in print. V was happy and proud to join many others in this historic book of the many of like her. And will forever be voices of the revolution. We salute you, V. Johnny Torres and Balancu Press. Oh. Wisdom and advice de una veterana, veteran. Northern Nevada Brown Berets is recruiting. Come and join us. Be the voice for many that don't have one. Serve and protect our people. Fight for our rights. Fight against police brutality. Fight for freedom for many of our children. The time to step up is now. You know, if we don't stop fighting with one another, we're going to lose what little we have left. The government has already ignored the treaties, which are supposed to be supreme law. They are still land grabbing. They want to take our sovereignty away. They are still committing genocide. We need to stop fighting and competing with one another. We need to unite and stand together. I may not be able to stand on the front lines anymore or make it to rallies or events, but I still have my words. Sometimes I wonder why so many listen to them. LOL. I plan to continuing putting words and the truth out there until I can't move no more. I don't speak all those big fancy words because I'm just me. I don't try to be someone I'm not. I try in every way to practice what I preach, for I'm not perfect, but I lead by example. That's how we all should be. When I was a little kid growing up, I had so many people tell me, Miko, mis, Mike, I was no good for nada, that I'd never do any good. Sabes que? I almost believed them. Why now? I sit aquí y, y think you think of where I am today, fighting for my people, standing and protecting. I became a leader, a strong one at that. I've accomplished so much. I have grown into a strong indigenous woman warrior. 20 years ago, none of this ever crossed mi mente, pero I can say I am proud and I think of some of those people that told me I would never be good for anything. Some of them I can't I see aren't shit today. Addiction took control of them. Some can't or won't take care of their families. Some are even homeless. I'm sorry for their situations, pero, pero look at me now. Don't ever listen to anyone that tells you you are good for nothing. Kick those people to the curb because you don't need them in your life. Fuck the 4th of July while innocent people are being killed, indigenous lands still being stolen, indigenous people being arrested of trespassing on their own land, southern tribes labeled as immigrants and illegal on their own land, children in cages being denied their freedom. I was the only brown beret in northern Nevada at the time, as dangerous as it was to wear it alone. I wore my uniform proudly. I think that this is a very powerful picture. One of my favorite pics as a brown beret. This was the day that I also found my voice as the I spoke, the crowd got very quiet. I had gotten the crowd all riled up. By the time I left, I had them lying in the middle of the street, stopping traffic. I told them if they want to be heard, they had to be louder. Sabes que? It's funny how your ancestors came here for freedom, came here for change, but they came and forced their way of life on the indigenous peoples here. We didn't need you. We were fine and content Look how you came and fucked up our world. We didn't need to change. AIM and the Brown Berets need to start working together. We need to step up and protect our people and communities. We need to cut out egos, jealousy, and greed. These are these two movements are created to protect and serve our people. We need to get back to that. Remember the oath we took. Can't you see? We have one enemy and they are laughing at us because we can't get our shit together. They will never accept us, even those that try to be like them. They still, they will still hate you no matter how white you try to be. Can't you see genocide is still very much alive? They just do it differently now. It's time for action. We cannot take this shit anymore. Come on, my relatives, wake up. It's time we quit fighting one another and unite. We are one people. The government divided us. We cannot allow this anymore. Enough is enough. This aim, I'm thinking of mi gente, of mi ancestors. I'm always talking, taking, talking unity. It's something our people desperately need. I'm serious. The time is now. Time for action. We are not invisible. We do exist. We do matter, especially our children, for they are the future, our future leaders. We need to stop fighting with one another, stop competing, stop the jealousy, and start caring and look out for one another. All of you that claim to be warriors, what are you doing? Why aren't you protecting? Why aren't you serving? That's our job. We should always put our people first. I know I'll not live to see us all unite as one, but I know we can. It's our time. Can't you see? Thank you, grandfather, for allowing me to awaken to spend another day with my family and friends, and almost of all of my spent time with my babies. Grandfather, thank you for everything you have given me and helping me to accomplish what I have in life this far. Thank you for the people you have put in my path, whenever good or bad, and thank you for the people you keep in my life. Grandfather, I ask you to bless all my friends and family, all my relatives far and near, all of four directions. If there are any going through any struggles such as I am, grandfather, please stand with our sides and help us and give us strength and guidance to conquer another day. Oh, Angel and the Condor, united, one people, one nation. I do love each of you, and that's been an honor. I am Two Spirit. I am a water protector. I am an Aimster. I am a proud Brown Beret. I am an activist, a revolutionary. I am your friend. Much love and respectful, V. Ramirez. Oh, wasn't that sweet, y'all?
Oh, it's beautiful.
I love it. I love it.
She's so young.
Yeah, I knew V and the Brown Berets probably like I knew we are probably 5 years when I was in the movement. And I would see her at protests here and there, but she kind of stopped, because she was having a lot of difficulties. But she always still wrote her thoughts down and always encouraged people to, to have boots on the ground, or just to, believe in themselves. And I felt like she was really good at that. And before she died, she told me, like, you know what, you can put me in a book. And I'm not really much of a writer, but I've written a lot of quotes on Facebook, so you can cut and paste them and make it into something. I'm like, you know what? I'll do that for you. It's not a problem at all. So I did that. I cut and paste everything and just made into a huge statement, and I wanted to do justice, and I feel like I did that in a way.
Yes, yes, yes.
And you definitely did. And more.
Well,
Beautiful.
thank you very much. This is another poem that was written by another brown beret that was really close to V. There was like brother and sister literally in the movement. And then he reached out to me and he's like, you know what, Johnny, I wrote a poem called Follow Me and it's about V. And I'm like, okay, cool. So let me read you what he wrote. And the next poem is the one I wrote. So this poem is called Follow Me. I looked ahead of me to see who is leading the march. There was no one there. So I waved us forward and said, Follow me. I looked around to look for my missing Native American sisters. I didn't see any. I said, let us search. Follow me. I headed to another shooting of another who was black or brown. I saw police beating the people. I stood up and fight back and said, Follow me. I have seen the poverty. I have seen the hate. I have been in the struggle. Follow me. Follow me when the struggles is hard. Follow me when I lead the charge. Follow me when it's only you and me. Follow me. Yo soy la vie. Lorenzo Flores in dedication of V. Ramirez.
Mm, mm, mm.
It was deep, you know. You can tell like they had a really good bond, kind of like, you know, he saw her right next to him in the march, then just one moment he looked back and she was gone. You know, that part really did get to me. But you know, she is still here in spirit. I think that was the point he was trying to make, and he uh, he definitely got an you know, a good impression on me. So that's for sure.
This work is beautiful.
Yes,
Rafa,
it
I
is.
see you've got your hand up.
Yeah, welcome everybody. I haven't seen some of you in a while, but I just wanted to comment really quick on, first of all, I'm doing this because the brown beret history, as many of you know, it's all over the place and it depends oftentimes who you speak with. But I want to focus on just what Johnny has done here, and by interviewing V and doing this before she passed away, she captured a time in our history as brown berets where there was a lot of confusion, a lot of like egotism, jealousy, and we were organizing at a nationwide level that had been seen since the 1960s when the Brown Berets first started, and were soon infiltrated by COINTELPRO, like most other groups, including Black Panthers. And so V was part of the organizing group that was called La Mesa Nacional of all Brown Berets. And what happened with V is she was asked to be one of the co-chairs along with Captain Lobo, who is now co-chair of the Second Rainbow Coalition. V accepted, but people were really coming out of the woodwork, challenging her. People, other brown berets, former people within our own movement, and she had a choice to make, a decision to make. And she talked to me, and we talked, and we were pretty close. And she talked to me and said, "I'm going to make a decision." And she told me when. She says, "I'm thinking about it, you know, and I'm going to let everybody know exactly what I decide on and what I don't." And I am not exaggerating here. Everybody was watching. Everybody was waiting on her word, because this would make or break our movement of La Mesa Nacional of Brown Berets. And she eventually announced that she would stay with La Mesa Nacional, remain chair, that she would continue to work for the people. And she gave her reasons why. I was impressed, number one, that she made a choice and stuck to it, and had her reasons and stuck by them honorably. But most importantly, V was more than just a brown beret. She was AIM. She was a woman. She was two-spirit. She was doubted. She was, I mean, and she knew she was going to pass before she even told anybody. She knew. And there were several of us, including Lorenzo Flores, whose name you see here, who was one of the people, including myself, JP from Sacramento, Lobo from Oregon, Peggy from Colorado, and El Juez, Arizona. All of us were responsible for putting digging the hole, for putting her coffin in. I mean, she had her funeral down to a T. It was kind of interesting. But I want to go back to the fact that, Johnny, I'm glad you did this, because she held it together. Her decision allowed for a lot of us to continue doing the work that we're doing today. So I will never forget V. This is an awesome way to open up a book about the Brown Berets, because I think when the new chapter is written of the Chicano movement, she will be remembered as she is being today. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafa.
Wow.
That was beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, she sounds like a very inspiring woman.
Yeah.
Comrade Joe, I see you've got your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to say kind of same thing that Rafa said, like, hey, thanks, Johnny, for especially for the starting of the book like this. But I wanted to share too that it was Comrade V that inspired me to make the People and Rainbow Coalition and get people. Her vision was to get Aimsters and Brown Berets to be working in unity, and with the direction of Lorenzo Flores and Leonard Peltier, the Eagle and Condor Coalition was created. But it was her inspiration that created that, not mine. But that's all. Just
Yes.
thank you.
Oh, God.
Oh, and one last point. Even as she knew she was dying, but even as she knew she was dying, she still traveled to South Dakota to go to Sundance
Yeah,
on
that's
on
true.
her last days. So I thought that was pretty inspirational also. That's all.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's tenacity right there.
Yeah, that's dedication.
Mhm.
Okay, so this is the poem I wrote for V, and it's called Movement. V. Ramirez, brown beret on the streets, water protector, a mother to nature, sister in arms. Her work in the movement will always be recognized. Where others departed, she continued with the struggle until her final breath. She led a revolutionary path. She traveled when her ancestors summoned. She faced down colonizers even when outnumbered. She always stood her ground. This generation will now follow in her footsteps. If you truly knew V. Ramirez, you would know her spirit is still with us. She is with us when we protest. She is resting with the ancestors. Her heart will always beat for the movement. Thank you.
Mhm.
She must have really made an enormous impact on all of you that you guys honor her so deeply with your words.
Yes, there was a lot of other people who said a lot of kind words about her. Like a lot of people came out, so like, oh, she motivated her, them to do this and that. So like, it, you actually truly see the, you know, the true work that she did with people, and not just with people, with the community and the cause itself. So this was my way of honoring her for the book. As soon as she passed and a book was about to be published, I decided to, like, you know what, I need her to put her in the beginning, you know. And I wrote a poem real fast out of nowhere, and somebody else did too, and we put it all in the beginning because we felt like that was the best thing to do for somebody who was, you know, who we all looked up to, you know. So I felt like, you know, we did justice for her.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Did you have something you wanted to say, Andy?
No, I'm just so moved. You know, I'm sitting there like just overwhelmed with the emotions. I mean, this is for those of us who've been in it all our lives, and to see somebody so young, you know, dedicated herself to the revolution and gave without any, you know, regard for herself almost. It's just amazing. It shows you what we as a people, we as a class against these oppressors, we have that kind of courage and that kind of strength. And I'm so glad that Johnny did this.
Well, thank you very much for everyone who appreciates it. Would anybody else want to give it a go here?
I'll read the
Okay.
second. Oh, go for it. Go for it, Kat. Go for
No,
it.
you can go. You can go.
No, you go.
If I mess up any pronunciation, sorry. Honoring Al Rojas, remembering our beloved mentor who took us in and guided us in the development of our advocacy, challenging us to decolonize preconceived notions, fallacies, and capitalistic lies. Equality, for all First Nations was always a focus for Rojas. As he would emphasize, we are the original inhabitants of these lands. We are indigenous First Nations people of the Americas. We are not immigrants. Al was instrumental in our quest for economic, social, racial, gender, and labor justice. He was truly one of the great, a legend who selflessly committed himself to fight for the people until his last days when he transitioned into an ancestor. Albert Joseph Medrano Rojas co-founded the United Farm Workers Independent Union, International Brotherhood of Teamsters, UFWIBT, based in San Jose, California. Rojas was born in Cagas Ranch in Tulare County, California, and was raised by farm working parents growing up in Visalia. The struggle of the fields was a part of his bloodline before birth. He worked closely with the Pinoy and Chicano communities, as well as the Yemeni farm workers, amongst others who supported the historical grape boycott of 1965. His persistence for equality led him to work with several civil rights leaders, including Maria Moreno, Larry Iligo, Philip Veracruz.
No, that was Larry Leon. I want to, just because everybody will get the name wrong, so I don't blame you. Trust me, I did too. But Leon, I'll talk about him later.
Ilong? Is that how you say it?
Leon.
Leon. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Philip Veracruz, Dolores Peretta, and Cesar Chavez. Al Rojas helped spearhead the Great Strike in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, ultimately relocating his family to dedicate his life to the boycott. His tireless efforts and impeccable work ethic resulted in the acknowledgement of the struggles endured by agricultural workers laboring in the factories and fields. This was the first time growers were held accountable and to adhere to agricultural workers' rights and enter into labor contracts in which the union created protections for agricultural working families, addressing wages and working conditions. Eventually, Al Rojas settled in Sacramento, California, becoming the Deputy Labor Commissioner of the California State Department of Industrial Relations from 1979 to 2005. Rojas became widely known and respected in El Movimiento, the struggle of the people. His involvement with Labor Council for Latin American Advancement solidified the respect of agricultural workers internationally, leading to the Dishful Ferry boycott beginning in 2015. This drew international attention, creating a global demand to ditch the bloodberries. The meeting of the Californias in 2017 showed the world the solidarity of the farm working labor force. Here, agricultural workers, advocates, and families traveled from as far as Washington State, the East Coast, and San Quentin, Baja California, Mexico, to meet as a collective at the U.S.-Mexico border. As a transnational voice against violence in the fields. The people the people
Unanimously.
Unanimously.
thank you. Unanimously spoke out against inhumane working conditions, unlivable wages, exploited child labor, and rape in the field. Al remained bold, outspoken, and fearless, speaking truth into power. He openly criticized the face of neoliberal capitalism and disastrous trade agreements policies such as NAFTA, CAFTA, TPP, North American Free Trade Agreement, Central American Free Trade Agreement, and Trans-Pacific Partnership. He called out several multinational corporations such as Driscoll's, Berrymex, and others, demanding accountability for the abuses imposed upon agricultural and factory workers, children, women, and families at the expense of exploiting brown labor. You protect the worker, you protect the consumer, Rojas would always say. It was because of Al's guidance and direction, as well as the close following that stood behind his efforts, that the first union for Driscoll's Berrymex workers in St. Quentin, Mexico was formed and is worker-led. Although the Driscoll's boycott is still active, strides have been made to honor agricultural workers' rights, addressing their exploitation, inequalities, and systematic violence. Upon the passing of such a beloved, close family member, best friend, respected elder, intellectual, community organizer, labor rights leader, as well as children's rights and women's rights advocate, Mexican President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador held a publicized international moment of silence to honor Al's legacy. In addition, the Mexican Chamber of Deputies acknowledged the passing of Al Rojas by observing a minute of silence on April 2nd, 2021. It was an honor, and we are humbled to have known you in this life, Al. You were like an uncle and a father to many of us. You were much more than a member and a role model. You were family. You will forever follow your lead, making impacts and movement. We will forever follow your lead, making impacts and movement from the field to the front lines, classrooms and everywhere in between. We will meet again in the next life. We are thankful for your dedication. We love and miss you deeply. The struggle continues. La lucha sigue.
Sigue.
Thank you. Que viven las campesinos. Que viva El Rojas. Sunrise, July 31st, 1938. Sunset, March 30th, 2020.
Well, I'm not sure if Johnny wants to say anything about El Rojas.
To be honest with you, I didn't really get to know a lot about him because I guess at that time he was already like, not really doing a lot of events as much. I heard that he was getting sick. I just heard a lot of good stuff from Tina and the other comment right next to him, those two right there.
She.
Yeah, they're the ones who told me that they wanted to write a story together about Agua Rojas, and they pretty much summed it like that he was part. Uh, Correct me if I'm wrong, Rafael. He was part of the movement with Cesar Chavez.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, you
He
know more, brother.
was.
You tell everyone because I don't know as much as you do.
Sure. No, and just for those who don't know Al Rojas, he's one of those unsung heroes like Larry Leon. And thank you, Sister Cat, White Panthers. Thank you for reading that because there was some names in there, including Larry Leon, the Filipino brother, who in the movie of Cesar Chavez, you see an angry Filipino and they got guns. And Larry Leon and other Filipino brothers and sisters don't get that. They were revolutionaries. They were ready to go at it. And unfortunately, there's the quote unquote the good civil rights movement leaders, there's the bad civil rights movement leaders. Well, Larry Leon is a good one, but they classified him as bad. And unfortunately, that's why I always tell my students the story about Larry Leon, because it was the Filipino brothers and sisters who were working in the fields. It wasn't just Chicanos and Mexicans and my people, but it was also people and now Rojas, but it was also Filipinos, Asians, black, white brothers, but the vast majority were Mexican, but they were also, Filipinos. And I got to know Al years ago. Oh my gosh, it's been a while. And I remember first talking to hearing him speak, and he cussed us all out. Or not, he didn't cuss us all out. He scolded us because I forgot what it was. It was time to get things going. He already had several things that he was working out on, and he was a leader like that. He got on it. But what people don't know is that he didn't emerge during the strike against the Driscoll boycott, which is a boycott against one of the biggest distributors in the world of berries. Whole Foods and all these companies and stores exploit people in San Quintin, Mexico, where Kat mentioned, little kids, women being raped, little kids being worked to out there in the hot sun for pennies, for nothing, slave labor. Al was already at this back in the 1960s with Cesar Chavez. He helped organize the union alongside with Cesar Chavez. And just like any organization, people have differences and they go their own way. And what people don't realize, Al never stopped organizing. He continued to organize. And I love this picture we have up here because my brother Ashid, Kasama here, and then you have Tina Marie out of Sacramento. These two were really instrumental in bringing together hundreds of brown berets in 2000. I think it was 16 or 17. We went to the border, and it was a march to the border to meet with the workers, to meet with the people, and it was an international protest. And it was incredible just to see how many people they managed to garner up. But it was inspired by Al Rojas' efforts to make sure that we fought for the people on the other side of the border and other parts of the world. We all learned the importance of internationalism if we didn't already know it. Al was one of those people that worked across, not just state lines, but international lines or borders to connect with the workers. So his inspiration as a labor leader, it's only now that people really are appreciating what he did to the point where when Bernie Sanders ran the first time, and even some other presidential candidates, they want to meet with him. They wanted to have that picture with Al because they knew how important he was to the farm workers out here who still remember him from the 60s and in the 70s, 80s, 90s. He lived in Sacramento, and we were really, we're really, I would say, looking forward to continuing to do work with him because it was inspiring, it was uplifting. He was one of our elders. When we learned that he passed, it was a sad day because we were fighting it out here in Fresno, California with the Proud Boys at downtown, one of our districts. It's called the Tower District. It's real artsy, real left wing, very liberal, but also it's one of the largest gay LGBTQ parts of the state of California. And you had these right wingers out here that were trying to pick fights with us. Well, that day when he passed, we just gone through a bad day confronting these Proud Boys face to face, and it just made our day harder, but it inspired us to continue going out there and supporting not just the brothers and sisters that were fighting out in the streets, but also to continue working across, like I said, national lines. For example, a lot of us were inspired to travel because of Al. I myself went to Cuba. I started going to Cuba and have been going ever since, just because of the importance of international, collaboration with our comrades. And I was one of those leaders that I would say didn't get the credit I believe he deserved in the 1960s and 70s. But then again, he didn't care. It wasn't about that. And his daughter, Desiree, we do a lot of stuff with her as well. Matter of fact, some Brown Berets are providing security for her in New Mexico as we speak, from the airport and back. So we continue the movement. But man, I think if Al would have lived a couple of years, and he called me 2 weeks before he passed, and we had a really good discussion. He was ready. He wasn't ready to stop. He was never ready. He was not ready to stop. But the inspiration from Spanish speaking farm workers in San Quintin and Mexico and throughout Latin America to all of North America here in America, the United States, that impact, I would say, is something that some people don't hear about. I think we'll be hearing more about Al later as the years go by, because as the history gets recorded, his name keeps coming up more than once when people realize just what critical role he played in the farm worker movement.
That's what's up. I dig it. Thank you for the historical context there, Rafa.
Mhm.
Does anybody else have any commentary before we move on to the next section? All right, here we go. Who would like to take a turn reading next?
I'll give Kat a break unless Kat wants to take over again. It's up to you, Kat.
You can do that, comrade.
Okay, I'll take this one then. All right. Is it 7:17, Johnny Torres? I got my book at work. I'm a teacher, so it's sitting in my 7:17, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
AM. All right. It was 7:17 a.m. I heard them shout. I heard the cries of the children. I heard the screams of the parents. I felt the violation of their bodies. I felt the shredding of their dignity. The oppressor's hands shredded it for all to see. The oppressor's hands repeating their colonizing ancestors' actions. They stole the land, drew a line in our red dirt, and declared it a border. Now, the gray stone walls are a bridge of despair, built on the tears of broken families. Your wall slowly goes up, but we've been here before. We will rise, we will be liberated, and we will destroy your ideologies. Your superiority will be crushed, and our dirt will be red again with the blood of our enemies that have exploited, raped, robbed, and tried to erase our people. Our history this time, the end result will be in our favor. It was 7:17 a.m. and my heart grew heavy. I find it harder and harder to sleep. How can anyone sleep in times like these? Jennifer Rodriguez. Wow.
Hard hitting right there. She pulled no fucking punches.
No, straight to the point, right?
Like, wow.
And I believe this Jennifer right here, right? Tom,
Yeah,
Johnny.
Yes, from Southeast Texas. That's one of my brown beret sisters.
That's
and,
right.
And that was the best picture to go with it. I would agree.
Oh, absolutely.
That sign she's holding.
Yeah, I love it.
All right, and I believe this is our last section for today. Would anybody else like to take a turn reading? If not, I'll take this one. Shanti, I see you got your hand up.
Yep. All right.
You want to take a turn?
Yep.
Awesome. Go for it, sister.
18 rifle gun salute. Veteran Brown Beret Jorge Lopez recalls that in 1978, when the Brown Berets of San Antonio decided to go to Houston and perform an 18 rifle gun salute, a quote, armed demonstration to make the people take notice that Chicanos in Houston were not going to take it anymore. That we were tired of police brutality in the state of Texas. 18 Chicanos have been killed that year alone, one being my uncle, Joe Campos Torres. They came to honor them all at Moody Park. They spoke with the people who were present, simply to make them aware that we Brown Berets represent the people. And if this kind of massacre happens again, they will return. The cops wanted to review the weapons, but our Brown Berets refused. The Brown Berets marched through Northside, and when they returned to Moody Park, some of them were arrested for firing their rifles that day. With help from our Houston community, the Brown Berets were bonded out of jail and made their way to the Rio Grande Valley. Something about the smell of gun smoke and seeing people come together made me feel that somehow things were going to be fine. However, there was still something out of place. Welcome to Houston, Texas, where police brutality happens all too often. Crazy people walk the streets. The sun only shines upon the wealthy, and some people still end up missing. Murders and drug use flourish, but somehow we feel compelled to live there.
Wow. By the way, Johnny, that's Jorge, right? In Southern Texas.
Yes, that is him.
That's
And let me tell you everyone about the story of Jorge Lopez and his time in the 70s and the Brown Berets. Um, so as I'm writing this story, because he couldn't write it himself, so he told me I had permission to go to his archives and put something together. But at the same time, his actions coming from near the valley all the way here to Texas, because there was a police brutality murder of my uncle Joe Campos Torres, and he came down here with other Brown Berets, and it did an 18-gun salute, and the cops came after the protest. Even though they refused to give them their weapons and the berets, they still did the gun salute. After all that was all said and done, they still managed to get some bogus charges on them, and they all got arrested. But they weren't in jail for that long anyway. Probably like 3 days at least, because they all got bounded out. But they all did, amazing work that day. That's for sure, and it's in history and Brown Beret history, revolutionary history here in Houston as well. And he's still active, very much so. I had conversations about the revolution with him, and he always says a lot of interesting stuff, you know, about his time as a Brown Beret here. Everybody knows him very personally because a lot of people have, chilled with him, protested with him. So everyone gets, different information from him. I'm supposedly, I think, because that's the way I feel about it. So I felt like his story was important because he played a huge role in the revolution in that time as well. So I felt like it needed to be documented. So I did reach out to him, and he said, you know what, I do want to be part of it, whatever way as possible. So if you want to do whatever it takes to put me on there, that's fine. So I found a recording of what he did not probably like a year ago. And then I added a couple of stuff from the time that when he was there that I found out from other berets. So I put it all together, from him as well, because it was like through his vision, of course. And I just, put the rest together. But it was interesting. There's going to be other stories that are like this that, they were just too busy, or they were, sick, and they couldn't, put the story together. So I helped them out as much as I can, because I love doing this. It's really good for when someone shares, literally their soul to you, and, and you feel like motivated by their actions. Like you can go stronger now for a little bit more, because they gave you like literally a piece of their soul and their strength to you. So I feel like that's why this book is so important, because not only is there just words, there's a piece of everyone's soul in this book who knew that one day this is going to be like so powerful, everyone will always want to talk about it. And volume 2 is coming soon with a lot of interesting people. Some people came back with a different poem, with a different story. Rafa is one of them. He came back again with another statement of about the Brownberry history. So there's a lot of people who came back because their work is continuing, and they feel like it should be documented as much as possible. And I would love to help publish that with my poem as well. And that's why I felt this was so important.
Did a beautiful job compiling all of this. I think that's beautiful that you took works from all of these various people who wanted to contribute and be able to come together and tell the story of the Brown Berets. It's beautiful.
Yep.
Comrade Joe, I see you got your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, Jorge is quite the character, as you see him depicted in this picture. He's got that old school mentality where like he don't really put up with too much shit, and he'll kind of tell you the way it is, which is
true.
offensive to some people, but it could be commendable too, because self critique is always good. But I got to meet him several times already, and we always communicate on the phone. And I tell you, he's a character. I really enjoyed him, and he lives all the way in the southern part of Texas. And we actually, the last event we went to this past summer in Sacramento, or this summer in Sacramento, he'll travel on the planes, trains, or automobiles to get there and stuff. So like it's always a blast when he's around. That's all.
Right. Thank you, Comrade Joe. Rafa, I see you've got your hand up. Go ahead, Comrade.
Yeah, just to add a little context here, as a history teacher, I've always, researched the Brown Berets even prior to becoming a teacher. And one of the things about people like Jorge is you always hear about them, and then, later on you meet them and catch right. I think I told you all about them. But a brother like Jorge Lopez represents Texas, even though the Brown Berets originated in Los Angeles, California. They spread throughout the country, but during COINTELPRO, when they brought a lot of groups down and infiltrated groups and caused their division and their downfall, the Brown Berets never quite went away, and Texas never went away. I got to give Texas a lot of credit here, because they never stopped organizing, they never stopped marching, they never put down their flags or berets. And Jorge was one of those. He's been around since going back about 50 years, and so I know that he's very true to the people. And when we first met in Houston, Texas in 2018, I think, or 19, the summer when we decided to formally form as La Mesa Nacional de Brown Berets, Jorge was one of those representatives from the country. Several of us were there who voted, yes, we must unite. We must organize as a force against everything, for example, that Trump was inspiring, the hate, the bigotry, etc. And I always appreciated his honesty and his sincerity, because he'd been there, and he represents oftentimes what the Texas Brown Berets is that they never quit, they continued fighting. So this kind of is in your backyard, Johnny, but I think we were all inspired by all of you in Texas. Thank you.
Oh yeah, all power.
Oh.
Comrade Kat, I saw you had your hand up for a moment. Did you have something you wanted to add?
Well, because we were praising Johnny, I was just gonna say, I think that's awesome that this book with the Brown Berets, and then I'm so humbled and grateful for my poem being in the second one, and I can't wait to read that one. And thank you for sending me the other poetry book.
Oh yes, of course, sister. You're very welcome. I'm glad it really touched you. But yeah, the second one's gonna be awesome as well.
I'm curious to see it when you get it published. I'm already hooked just from this first part we read.
Oh yeah,
I
guarantee you, it's the second one is probably 2 times just as powerful as the first one, because other people because they didn't make it until the first one because it was too full. So some people went to the second one, you know. So and then from there, other people that were in the book, they introduced me to different people. Like, well, I got another person that I know is a poet, or she's in the revolution, or he's in the revolution. I think he might have a story he might want to share. I'm like, oh, okay, well, send them my way. You know, so I was like excited for it because you're meeting new people who, you know, share like, you know, about the same point of views or like you that, you know, wants the best, you know, for the community, for the world, you know, no, you know, definitely. And there's just all these deep conversations and they're going, but you definitely know it's gonna go somewhere. And then you give them the idea that, you know, we all have, you know, a voice, and, you know, the world needs to know what we have deep down, and, you know, the work that we do, so they can know and have a good idea. Okay, they're not just people, they're actually activists, and they have voices, and their voices can do just as much good as much as their actions, because they inspire, you know. So I felt like this was the whole idea of this book, because I believe we all had some kind of wisdom, you know, nobody else really knew. So everyone had a gift in each book, you know. But in this one, was since it was my first one, I got everyone that I knew first from Houston, because everyone I knew all came from here, and they were all, most of them were revolutionary writers or poets, and some people didn't even know it until I showed them or told them how important they are and what they have inside. And I saw like there was a story that was just dying to come out, and I just told them about the idea, and they were just like, you know what, I think I can do this, even though I never written before, you know. So they just, all this magic was just happening, and I was just loving this energy, because it was just something that, you know, you knew deep down everyone needed to hear this, not just you, but not only did it get you, but you knew that, damn, wait till everyone else gets this information. What are they gonna do? They're gonna be excited just as much as I am, but you know, it was gonna make a difference. That was the whole idea of it. Where, what can it do? You know, with all this good energy and this power and this knowledge and this wisdom, you knew it was gonna like definitely break a lot of walls that needed to be broken. So that's why this was possible. And everyone loved the idea, so it all came together. And this book, it probably took a good year and a half to make, but I definitely wanted to take my time on a lot of things, because a lot of people were not quite done yet, but I wanted it to be good. So I was having all the patience in the world, because I knew how important this was just by reading half of it. So I was just, you know, just dying to read the rest. But it was totally worth it, because I already knew half the people, and the other half were people who recommended me the other half. You know, they're like, well, I know some people that will be down with this. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I just started talking to them, and the rest is history, you know. But I was glad that, you know, that I was a part of this. I made it all happen, because I knew there was people who just had one or two poems, or they had a story. I'm like, you know what, we can actually do something with all this. You know, it doesn't have to just be people like, well, I just have one thing, I don't know if I can get published. I'm like, well, what if we put it all together? Yeah, then we can all get published together, you know. So we can all feel that excitement, you know, we can all feel that we're all making a difference together. So I'm like, okay, so I feel like I accomplished that, you know, in a way.
Absolutely. It's a whole community coming together in this book, and it's beautiful. Dig it. Comrade Andy, I saw you had your hand up a moment ago. Love to hear
Well,
your thoughts.
yeah, Johnny covered most of what I wanted to say. I think that when I look at this, and start it, I mean, it's always so powerful to think of how profound and rich our history is, what a deep uh, resistance that's gone on for over 500 years, and that we're a part of that. We're part of the continuity of that. And now in the 21st century, we're going to come together and end exploitation forever, end oppression forever. And what's going to happen? But it's going to happen because we're standing on the shoulders of giants, but they were giants who were from the soil, who were not rich fancy guys riding around on big white horses or something. This is the real strength of humanity here, the whole of humanity, and it's incredible.
Oh yes, I would agree on that. Most definitely.
You know, if I could say something that to tie in with Andy, a couple of years back, a decade ago, if you would have said anything about Palestine in the Mexican community, a lot of people would be confused and not understand. And today, the youth, you look around, you talk to them. Number one, that we push that message that we're in solidarity with Palestine, with the people of Palestine, because we share so much with them, how they were on this land. The land was taken. These walls go up. They're checked. They're strip searched. They're shot. They're forced to work low wages. Their IDs checked everywhere they go. It's very similar to South Africa because that's what it is. It's apartheid. And so I say that Brown Berets joining the Second Rainbow Coalition that was formed, and even prior to that, the young people have been internalizing these lessons, and so yeah, to just tie into that, the history. We're all connected because last night when I was in the Young Lords meeting, oh my gosh, I'm sitting there just taking it in, and it was a powerful presentation, and I feel more confident in our young people. I don't care what anybody says. I think they're revolutionaries. They're watching and they're listening. I think we'll be surprised by them.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I see a lot of revolutionary fire in Gen Z, especially, and they're inspiring, including Shanti. Yes,
They're mean too, though. They tell it how it is. I swear.
right.
We
No
do.
holds barred. Like Gen Z is the first generation to grow up really seeing all the shit that took us as millennials and Gen X in order to catch on to after decades of trying to vote in change and things like that, and realizing, well, this shit ain't working. We need something better, and found ourselves moving in a more revolutionary path. These kids have seen from day one that this system is fucked and doesn't work for the people, and that it needs absolute revolutionary change to actually fix the shit show that we're living in. And they're coming out guns blazing, proverbially speaking,
Yeah.
no tolerance for any of the bullshit, and I respect it.
Thank you.
I think if the Gen Z wants to bring down a satellite and really shut it down, they'll be the ones that do it, right? If anybody wants to, because like you said, they're up on stuff. Those are the revolutionaries we're gonna need.
That is a fact. That is a fact.
Right, y'all will figure a way out to do it. We figured out shit like rebar and a shotgun for anti-aircraft. Y'all are gonna figure out the satellites.
Look, we're tech savvy like that, okay? Like, we are literally unmatched. And that's just who we are. That's just who we are. We've had enough of this system. We've had enough of exploitation going on for 531 years. We are tired of indigenous Chicanos being deemed illegal on their own land, on their own continent, in their own home. We're tired of African people being cattle in all areas of the capitalist system. And we're sick and tired of Chinese people and Japanese people and Filipinos being exploited, their culture being exploited, and, facing anti-Filipino xenophobic violence in the hands of the capitalist system. And we're tired of Irish people assimilating and not knowing who the hell they are and turning into a leprechaun kind of identity, and we don't want that anymore. We've given this system chance after chance after chance for so long, And we recognize Chicanos as being indigenous people, no matter how much they assimilate, no matter how connected they are to their culture. Chicanos are still native. It doesn't change their bloodline, period. They are still native people, just like every other native person on Abya in Samanahuac and, whatever other name, especially Turtle Island. This is their home. And the fact that they're deemed illegal on their home is, asinine. And this is what the capitalist system tries to do. They try to stir up war between African people and Chicanos and other native people, especially from Venezuela, especially here in Chicago, where they're trying to make a tent city, even though they have vacant apartments all over the damn place. But they gave the Ukrainians, houses with no problem. But I guess they're too black or too brown to even be counted as human enough to, be housed in an apartment and be able to, be human, to be, genocided off their own land, only to face the same problem here. And that is what we recognize now. We are tired of, having to, fight for these concessions, with the Supreme Court being called all kinds of slurs by 9 people in front of everyone, especially with ICWA, with the Indian Child Welfare Act, when we know damn well that Native children have never been protected. Chicano children have never been protected under this system regardless. And they think that maybe Native children should be protected, but we're not going to give the DNA people their water back. And, that's it. That's all. And if you don't like it, then you can fuck off. Then like this is what we have to deal with every single day under this system. And we're tired of it. We're tired of it. If we have to go by any and all sophisticated means in order to get people to be organized and become political and not think that they can use their culture alone to use as means of liberation, then we will do that. We will do that. We recognize that. And with the alpha generation coming up, we have a responsibility to radicalize and make them principled too, because we are the bearers of revolution, and we will be able to learn from our revolutionary ancestors, from our revolutionary elders, the Irish elders, the Chicano elders, the New African elders, the Boricua elders, the Taino elders, any other Native and African elder and ancestor that we have, and even our elders in Hawaii, in Guam, in Samoa, in the so-called Philippines, in West Papua, in Indonesia, in China, in Japan, in Vietnam, and all over in the Indian proletariat feminists. These are our foundation. These are our guide, and this is what we need in order to make a new world, to be able to make a world where we are human, where we don't have to stand with these concessions that will only last for like a week or two with the system and think that we're making progress. We're not falling for that no more. We're not falling for that no more. And it's important for us as young people, as children, because we are the most oppressed class, especially in regards to age, the age hierarchy. It's our responsibility to carry on that torch, to get to make a world where we are human too, because many of the things that happen under the system, who gets the brunt of it? The children, the kids, the babies, the infants, even the clump of cells in the wombs, they're used as scapegoats too, to justify capitalist domination. And we don't want that no more. We're not going to put up with it no more. And so once again, it's our responsibility to become principled, to become dialectical, to look at this history at all sides and end the cycle of reactionary actions that have plagued us for so long, especially since CONTOPRO really, really took off the ground. It's our responsibility to end that cycle towards a new red world, to a world where we are human and that our livelihood is not up for us being cattle and exploiting ourselves and each other and killing each other and killing ourselves in order to feel human, to know what it feels to have our livelihood affirmed. And that starts with us.
All fucking
Wow,
power.
wow.
Yeah.
Somebody's on fire.
I
Always.
told you, I'm a firecracker, okay? I told you. I
Love
warned
it
you.
though, love it. We need that passion, we need that spirit. Wow.
Thank you.
Okay.
So we ending right there. That's a drop the mic moment. Till next time, because it's the same.
Okay, drop my remote, okay?
Yeah, Shanti, you are pretty good with those mic drop moments. I gotta give it to you.
I try.
I love that your generation sees the vast intercommunal facets here too, that this is a global fight, that we stand in solidarity with other oppressed communities across the entire fucking planet. And honestly, I think that's something that has come hand in hand with, technology making the developments that it has in the last, 30 some odd years, 40 years, where you guys are actually using the internet for what it was created for, to connect with people. Yes, we have our cat memes and shit like that. Just let the brain go when it needs to. But seeing the amount of understanding and acknowledgement there that it is an intercommunal struggle that is ongoing in every colonized part of this planet. It's a level of awareness that it took some of us of older generations some time to pick up on, because we simply didn't have those links to directly even speak to people on the other side of the planet.
Right.
And if we did, it was in limited means. I mean, when I was your age, it was AOL. Come on now.
Oh,
There was
yeah. Oh, yeah.
revolution happening there.
Yeah.
Andy, I see you got your hand back up. What's
Oh,
on your
no,
mind,
no,
comrade?
no. I just was looking at this next piece, and what Shanti was saying, such a beautiful segue into this next piece. Are we reading the next piece?
The part there about Al was the last one for today.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
I will look forward to doing it the next time.
Yep.
Cool.
Yes,
Yeah, we'll be picking up on that one on Friday. So see, I hope you're available on Friday. Maybe we'll see.
Oh, darn. I might not be on Friday, but we'll see. Never know.
I should be available. And I'm also gonna try to bring on one of our original founders.
Awesome.
Yay!
Awesome.
Yeah, hopefully we can get him here, but we can't force her, right? But they said they want to be here, so I know.
Right.
The good vibes this way. They're like,
Cool,
please join
that's
us.
cool.
Well, hey, thank you, everybody. It's been great, be getting back together with the reading group. With all the work I do with the La Mesa Nacional and the Second Rainbow Coalition, I've been busy, but I've missed the reading groups that I was involved with last month, or before I went to Cuba, I should say, before I went to Cuba.
Yeah.
That's
It's a
great.
pleasure to have you
That's
here.
great.
It's all good. It's all good.
Right?
Thank
We
you.
get it. You are one of the busiest comrades that we know. So
Yes, indeed.
it's all good, bro.
You're booked and busy, okay?
It's for the
booked.
people, right? It's good. All right, everybody. On that note, all power to the people.
All part of the people.
And happy Indigenous Peoples Day to all my
That's
Chicano.
right.
All right.
Mhm.
Power to the people.
Love y'all.
Back to you. Love y'all too.
Take care.
All power.
Comrade Joe, I see you popped your hand up.
Oh yeah, no, I just wanted to say thank you all too. I mean, I don't have to cut out quite yet, but for Andy's sake, can we just read one more, and then we could always reread it again on Friday. I don't know if anybody's available or wants to.
Everybody else just dipped out. It's just you and I in
Oh.
here now.
Oh, okay. That's why I raised my hand. I was like, can we just read one more anyway, and then we could always reread it again on Friday and start over again.
Right.
No, that was pretty cool. That like even go ahead, sister. Sorry.
I was just saying, oh shoot. 'Cause,
Oh,
yeah, we totally could have done that, but yeah, now they all depend
no,
like
Rafa's
so
pretty strict to keeping stuff to about an hour and stuff. So,
yeah.
and it's kind of beneficial, especially when we put it on what you call it, YouTube,
YouTube.
because
Yeah.
when people see a 3 hour, 4 hour, 3.5 hour segment, they kind of get discouraged, and they like, oh, I don't got 3.5 hours, but like it was like, oh, I got an hour. It's a ride home from work or something I could do while I'm taking a shower or cooking dinner or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, so that was pretty nice. But I wanted to really bring out that V Loca Ramirez. Oh man, she was so inspiring, and she was part of AIM, and she was a Brown Beret. And I got to talk to her like in her last days of death, except for the last few days, because I'm telling you, she traveled all the way to South Dakota to go to Sundance from Northern California. So like that was a push, and she knew she was dying. The doctors already told her, like you're, and she called and told me too, like, Joe, I'm not gonna make it. And I was like, I would message her every day, like, hey sister, good morning, or how you doing, like. So we kept in contact the last month or months. No, we kept in closer contact the last months of her life, but we have always been in contact since I met her. And she really inspired me to make the Eagle and Condor Coalition. And she says, Joe, I'm leaving already. You need to get on the ball and get the Brown Berets working with AIM. And I was like, okay, sister, okay. And it took a while to get started. And they mentioned the other brother from northern New Mexico. I got a brain fart right now. I'll get his name right now.
Lorenzo?
Lorenzo Flores. He's been in the movement for over 50 years too. He's in a wheelchair. He's dying like of a brain tumor cancer. But he's still active. He's still getting out there. This is like, it inspires me. Like, oh wow, to get these old generations. That's what helped me create remember I was telling you, sister, the Brown Beret Elders Council?
Yeah.
It was because we're losing them. And I really, really would love to see that happen. When we seen the elders on Sunday from the Young Lords, I was like so jazzed. I was like, whoa, we need at least a couple of them from all the organizations in the Rainbow Coalition and build an elders platform. It could be a council or a platform or however anybody wants to term it. But it would be so beautiful to build that, and then have them be able to come on some of our book readings, just to share, like we did. Because I wish, we had that panel discussion on Sunday. Like it would have been nice if they were there throughout the reading also. And then like maybe you can tell me the next pages, and I can see if I can make sure that the people that are, because you guys would have got a kick out of the comrade brother from down South Texas, Jorge. He's a character and a half, and he's really hard.
Yeah.
He's a stickler. I think we're still on recording, huh?
Yeah, we are. I'll wrap that up in just a second. I just wanted to let you know because I had the schedule pulled up here.
Okay.
Friday we'll be reading pages 16 to 32. So if you want to look over those and see if any of the elders mentioned there are available to join us on Friday, that would be dope.
Oh, heck yeah. Because I was gone. I think you stepped away from the mic earlier, but today was Indigenous Peoples Day, and I got to go because I'm up in Seattle. I said, well, I want to go see Chief Seattle's gravesite, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I went on a ferry for the first time today, and that was all cool and stuff. And drove the car into the ferry. Never done that before.
Yeah.
And I went to go see an ancient burial graveyard. Like they had people from like the 1700s, 1800s there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were all indigenous peoples. It was an indigenous burial ground.
That's sacred
So
ground
I-
right there.
Really, yes. And I even played, I think I can't remember how to pronounce the name, Sukumash or Sukumash tribes. But what was so nice is that, and I haven't got even a chance to even share any of the pictures, but I went on my phone and then I found some of the native songs. So I played it at the graves at the cemetery, and I was like, oh man, I know I'm gonna wake some kind of spirits up around here and stuff.
Things about to get lively up in there, huh?
I felt it. I felt it. It was so cool.
It's a
Yeah,
beautiful
but I
experience.
guess I don't know. I don't know if I should let you go and stuff like that. Maybe I'll take the time to. But you said I think 18 to 26 or no 13
16
to
to 30,
26.
page 16 to page 32.
16 years old, 32 years old. Okay, I can remember those now.
Right on.
I had to tie a little yellow string on my finger and stuff. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it
Okay,
helps.
sister.
Like Kwame's been trying to break down the reading sections into roughly 15 to 16 page segments. So that way we can kind of keep it consistent as far as how much material we've got to go through. So yep.
Yeah. And then I'm sorry. 16 to 32. I got that now. But I was gonna mention this in the beginning, like being that this is not a book that goes through chapters. These are individual poems by individual peoples. And I was gonna ask that in the beginning of like, should we break it down to a reading of one poem and then give like at least a few minutes or 5 minutes if anybody wants to bring something up, kind of like we did today. It worked out the way I thought it should.
Yeah, that worked out good. I think we'll have to keep rolling with that because I like that. Then we can, take some time to really, discuss each individual's participation in the movement and their impact.
Right.
I like how that rolled today. I dig that. And
Yeah, I was gonna ask if we could do it something like that, or ask Johnny like, hey, how do you wanna go about this? Because it's not actual a chapter book. This is a poetry book, or so. So it worked out perfect. So hopefully we can, like you said, we can carry on with that because I do think it went well the way we did that.
absolutely. Oh, I should probably cut this recording off before we go on too long. All power.
All power, sister. All right, we'll see each other on Friday and stuff. Stay strong, eh?
You too.
All right,
Thank
bye.
you, comrade.
Thank you.
There we go.